All right, we are going to head into the Purple Indiana Success Book. On page 85, we're going to be looking at chapter 12, lesson 1A. And it is almost exactly like lesson 1 in the volume 2 GoMath book, but with a slight little difference. So, why don't we come up first and take a look at just a quick review here. In lesson 1, we talked about a point, a line, an endpoint, line segment, and array. Right? And our goal here was to describe these plane shapes and describe the attributes of two-dimensional shapes. Now, we're going to take this one step further. And now, instead of just describing, we're also going to draw plane shapes. We can describe and draw points, lines, line segments, plane shapes using a ruler or straight edge. And we are going to be labeling these points or these lines or line segments because they actually do have names when we're talking about them, and we'll discuss that here in just a little bit. So if we have a point, we would say that that is like point A or point B or C or whatever. So each little point that we would make is actually a named point. So we can make a point right here and say that that is, that could be point Q. All right. So why is that important? Because when we have the points right here, points then become parts of lines and line segments. So if I have a line, well, let's just say that I've got a line here and a line that goes like right here. We'll just kind of extend that out there and turn that into a line. If I were to say name the line that goes diagonal, we don't have a name for that. I mean, we would have a name for the line that goes horizontal, back and forth. That would be line BC. Or we could name it line CB. And we use these symbols, and they're not really clear right there. So let me, well, and I'll show you with this right here. But let's just say that we've got a point right here. Let's go ahead and we'll give a point right here and a point right here. And we will name this one point R. And we might as well just use the Q that we have up here. We will call this point Q. So now what we have, we could say that we have line RQ, or we have line QR. We'll go ahead and get this cleaned up a little bit. There we go. Now, if we wanted to use this symbol, all right, we would say line RQ and above it make this symbol that has an arrow on both sides. So that is showing line RQ, which could also be line QR. Using that same symbol right here, right, which is actually like it's that line, okay, with an arrow going both ways. So here we have two lines. We have line BC and we have line RQ. Same thing goes for the line segment. All right, we would say line segment DE or line segment ED. We would use these symbols. And let's get another line segment here. You know what? Let's do this. Let's make a line segment that goes from here to here. And we'll get points on the end of that one. And let's call this point Z. All right, so I have two line segments here. I have the line segment DE. I have the line segment ED. I also have line segment DZ and line segment ZD. So this one point D actually shares two. It shares an endpoint with two different line segments. And then if we were going to name them with these symbols over here, why that would be DZ, also ZD, and all we would have is the line segment symbol above it, which is just a straight line, no arrows, no points, nothing like that. Now we've got this ray. And array is really interesting because you have to make sure that you start with the end point. So if I had a ray that went like this with, and remember with a ray, it has a starting point, but then has an end point that goes on forever and ever. So I'm going to label this ray G and then D. Right there. So here's my source, or where it starts, and it goes on forever and ever. It goes on through point D. It goes up to point D and then goes through it. Just like a very, very high-powered flashlight. So it would be ray G D. And then I would write that symbol here, G D. And it has a unique symbol above it, just like we would write the G right here as our starting point. Okay, it gets a point to it. And then as it goes through point D, it gets a line attached to it. So that shows GD, ray GD. Starts at G, goes through point D. Now, what would happen if I were to switch it around? All right. let's just say that I had same thing here, but I switched the letters around. So I had Ray, D, G. Well, that means that my starting point would have to be D, and then my beginning point would be D. So it's really important to name that first one. That's your point, and then it goes through up to point G and then goes through it. All right. What about this one? What if we had this line right here? Not really a line. What would the name of this ray be? Okay, that would be ray FG. And let's just say, for the sake of, because I did not see this up here, this is not going to be a G. We're going to turn that into a C. Because we cannot have the same letters in the same kind of plane right here. So this would be ray FC. Right here we have FG. All right, so we would say ray FG. All right, let's move on to this activity down here. Draw and labeled line segment JK. Well, a line segment has a definite starting point and ending point. And we would write J and then K. So that takes care of drawing that shape. And then we need to label it, which we have. All right, that looks good. Is there another name or another way to name line segment JK? Well, sure. First of all, yes. And we can name it KJ. So line segment KJ. All right. We're going to start it here and end it right here. Explain how that is even possible. Well, when naming a line segment, either point can be named first. So there you have it. Let's turn to this next page here, which is going to be kind of fun here. Like I said, I really enjoy the geometry unit stuff because we get to do some drawing and some other fun activities. So a plane shape is a shape on a flat surface, or two-dimensional. Some plane shapes are made by connecting line segments at their endpoints. Ooh, that is pretty heavy right there. Connecting line segments at their endpoints. One way is a triangle. So describe a triangle using math words. All right, so a triangle has 3 line segments. The line segments meet at their endpoints. So let's take this one step further. Let's say we've got line segment A, B. So here's one line segment, AB, and then we have a second line segment, BC, and then a third line segment, CA or AC. So what were the 3 line segments? Well, we had AB, and then we had BC, and then we had, and we'll just go ahead and name it CA. That's the way so we can easily go around and label these. So what was the first one that we had? Line segment A, B. That went from here to there. And then we're going to connect the line segments at their endpoints, all right, where they share. So right here, this would be triangle, or line segment BC. So we'll go ahead and get this line segment ready to go. From here to here. And then finally, we had a third line segment. That went from C to A. When we connect those, we have a triangle, okay? And it's only because they met at the different points. But here's line segment AB, here's line segment BC, and there's line segment CA. When we connect these and make it so that they share endpoints, that's when we can make shapes. All right, so looking down here, a quadrilateral has 4 line segments. All right. From here to here, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hexagon has 6 line segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's show right here. Where one line segment ends. So right here, all right, we started right here and it ends right here. Where it ends, one line segment ends, is where the next one begins. And that is how we get our shapes. A pentagon has 5 line segments. So now it says draw a shape by connecting 7 line segments at their endpoints. And really, I mean, this could be about any shape as long as it's a closed shape. Let's see what we can do here about try to make a, you know what, let's try to do this the right way. So we'll have a line segment here and here. And then from here to there. And then up to here. To here. And then one more from there to there. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go ahead and label these. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So what we should have is 7 line segments. So let's see what we come up with. We had AB, BC, CD, DE, EF, FG, and then GA. Do we have 7 line segments? Well, let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there's our 7-sided object. All right, why don't we go ahead and pause the video and take care of the show and share, and then we'll come back and see how you did on that. Okay, heading on here with the show and share. It says to draw and label an example of the shape. Well, what we have is XY, and we have our symbol for a line above it. And so what we are going to be doing right there is drawing a line. And the other thing to remember is when we are making our points, they need to be inside of the arrow. All right, that shows that it goes to and then through that point. All right, so this would be X and Y. Very thick X through Y. Here we go. Let's see if we can clean that up just a tad. X, Y. Now, what's another way that we could have drawn this shape? Well, very simply, let's make sure I can get all these down here. We could make this the Y right there and the X right there. So either one of those would have worked. Point K. Point K is just simply a dot labeled K. Really no other way to write that. Then we've got ray CD. So we can make our ray this way with the point that we need. One there, and one there. Labeled as C, D. All right, now how's another way that we could write this? Showing array? Well, the other way, I mean, array can go the different direction. And things get just a little bit complicated, but not too bad. Right. He would be C. And then D. All right. So our beginning point is C, our ending point is D. All right. And in some textbooks, they'll show you that you can actually write it CD, and they'll show that the ray itself goes this way. But then we have to get some letters changed down here. So for the sake of this, we will just keep it like this. Name a line segment. We could name any one that we wanted here. Let's do line segment NB. And there we go. How many line segments does this shape have? Well, let's see if we can't figure out. There's, oh my goodness, that's a really big line. Let's back that up. Oh, maybe just to here. Here we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 line segments. All right, well, good luck with your homework. I think that you'll do great. There's a lot of additional information in this that the state of Indiana wants to make sure that we include with our teaching. So I'm sure that you will do great with the assignment. It's just a kind of a repeat and just a little bit added things that you need to do from our original Chapter 12, Lesson 1. So good luck with your assignment.